What's up, everybody? We are back. John Delarose here, delarose.com, back with another review today. Make sure to go down to the link in my description, sign up for my newsletter, and you will get a free graphic novel from me. If you like fun superhero stuff, you will absolutely enjoy what you get there. And you'll never miss a video. All right, this is a neat one, and you might be wondering, where did this come from? This seems out of nowhere. It is a Marvel comic, and what's nice is these are pretty readily available. This contains every Captain Universe appearance in the 80s and early 90s, except for a couple. And because Captain Universe was a concept which premiered in Micronauts. And Micronauts is a series which was a team-up with Hasbro to promote some toy lines and things like that Marvel was doing along with ROM Space Knight. And they don't have the rights to those, so those never get reprinted. It's really rough. I'm hoping for a reprint at some point. I mean, it should be something that somebody should be able to make happen at some point. But they don't have the rights, and it's an issue right there. But Captain Universe went on into several different Marvel series, most well known for the Spider-Man Cosmic Adventures, which happened during the Acts of Vengeance crossover period. Eric Larson drawing some of that, most notably. But these are lead-up appearances of that, and a couple appearances after that. There is another appearance in that era, which was with the X-Men, which did not also get reprinted here. I have no idea why, but this is the majority of them, so you can kind of get familiar with the Captain Universe concept, and I do recommend reading this before that Spider-Man stuff, which is a epic collection, incidentally. This collects Marvel Spotlight 9 through 11, Incredible Hulk Annual 10, Marvel Fanfare 25, Web of Spider-Man Annual, and these are just backups, they don't actually have Spider-Man in it, 5 and 6, Marvel Comics Presents 148, and Cosmic Power Unlimited number 5. And now you see why I am doing this, because you might see an artist here, which we review a lot of his work on the channel, and it's very exciting stuff. All right, so we get into this, and these are short vignettes at first in the Marvel Spotlight here. And maybe they're not. They're actually 22 pagers. I'm sorry. They feel like short vignettes, but they are full-length comics. And Steve Ditko has his 60s style here, which he starts this whole deal. And the whole concept of Captain Universe is Captain Universe can be anybody. And the power, the unit power, goes and just seeks out a person in the right place at the right time to deal with things. And this feels a lot like Ditko Doctor Strange stuff. Bill Mantlo wrote this at the time, and I'm sure he had that in mind when he was trying to get this going. And I believe the two of them actually created the character together in Micronauts. I could be wrong about that, though, but I know it is Bill Mantlo's creation. He was a great writer. It's really tragic. He's had health problems since then, and it's just sad because the guy was one of the better writers at Marvel back in the 80s. All right, so we get this splash page, and we get a pretty standard setup of Ditko's style. And we get an introduction to the whole power cosmic and all that. And I guess the dad used to be Captain Universe. He starts getting a heart attack problems. The son starts wishing he could save him. Some beautiful Ditko stuff. And this is prior to Ditko's sort of change in the way that he worked for his Marvel and DC comic jobs. He typically is a artist who inks his own work and really just takes pride in his work. But later on, and that happens actually in the flip side of this book, Ditko decides that he's going to not bother inking his own work for Marvel and DC projects anymore because he just believes those companies don't actually understand fine art, and so he doesn't try as hard. And I've seen some pictures of the stuff he turned in from that point forward. He definitely did not try as hard as what he does here, but you can tell his own inks. It's a very, very distinct style. You can tell via the eyes, the way these characters look like they're in this like almost a horror story. And also he's got these characteristic Ditko layouts. The son becomes Captain Universe, and he ends up fighting this cosmic being through this one. Very cool stuff. Who's gonna take a rocket from NASA and launch into the sun and take over the entire universe in negative energy, and it's a lot of fun. This is just classic stuff. If you love the old Doctor Strange stuff, you will absolutely enjoy this story. The next one gets into a little bit of a more crossover for later Ditko stuff. Ditko likes to use pairs of characters. He does this with Hawk and Dove. He had a character set in his objectivist work, which also was a male and female, and I don't remember their names, unfortunately. And they kind of bounce off of each other a little bit, and so he likes doing that. This is a theme that he does quite often in his comic books, and he does that here with two sisters becoming Captain Universe this time. And again, this is still his inked work, and they eventually get the powers together. Beautiful, beautiful stuff right here. Would love that original art if I could get it. And they go and fight some mobsters, and you get a 9-panel work here, and that's neat. Ditko, gets a lot of art onto a page compared to most artists here. You can tell he's really doing his fine work here. They break in and eventually fight the mobsters, and here's the weird twist, which is very un-Ditko-like. The DA, or who was prosecuting mobsters at the beginning, who is the husband of one of the heroine chicks here, actually is revealed that he's actually a life of crime, and they stop him. Now, why I say that's kind of un-Ditko-like is anybody involved in the law enforcement process, he liked to show as a heroic being, as somebody who's doing good. And so he really didn't like to have those twists where, there's a bad cop or a bad district attorney or things like that. So that clearly came from Mantlow's writing. And after a while, later on, Ditko might have not even have accepted this assignment at some point, but he did here, and it's a good story. It was very enjoyable, but it does have that mob boss fight in here, which is indicative of a lot of his later works. We're kind of in that transition period. It's very neat to see how he's going from his super heroics before into this is kind of the tail end of him doing that for Marvel here. In this one, there's a cat burglar, and the cat burglar gets the Captain Universe power, and after getting ratted on by the mob, and he actually goes after the mob and kind of takes them down. This one actually has a reference to the Magia or however you pronounce that, which is a standard sort of mafia group in the Marvel Universe, to tie that in there. And he uses his power here to take things out, and the power actually kills him because, and this is very kind of Ditko-like, he was using his power for selfish gains, and not the rational selfish type of objectivism, but the selfish in like he's going to use his power, because he's got power, he's going to steal stuff, and so he bears the consequence for that, and evil is evil. A little corruption goes a long way, and that's the lesson here. So that's the Marvel Spotlight. They did 3 issues of this, and there's actually a little call to write in and see if you wanted some. It looks like they were attempting to launch a Captain Universe book, and that didn't materialize for whatever reason. The hero who could be you. Very, very Ditko-like advertisement here. Then we get out of Ditko's work for a bit and into an Incredible Hulk annual. And this has Mantlo writing, and Mantlo did a beautiful run around this time. His works are collected in 3 large trade paperbacks at the moment, and they're not epic collections yet, but they eventually will be. And wonderful stuff. Rick Lenardi does the art here, and just pretty standard 80s fare art. The Hulk looks a little wonky in some panels here, not top tier talent, but solid enough. It's a Hulk story where he's fighting against the army. And an explosion happens, and Bruce Banner actually gets separated from the Hulk and becomes Captain Universe, and they kind of fight each other as somebody kind of goes crazy and a missile's about to launch. So, very standard Hulk storyline. Not a ton to it, other than the Captain Universe twist, where he is Bruce Banner fighting the Hulk here. And they eventually, we get a cameo appearance by President Ronald Reagan. So, it's fun, but, this is very, very fluffy stuff that goes pretty quick, and you can kind of skim a lot of this stuff because, again, Hulk fighting a missile and getting off into space, and then it blows up, and guess what? There's some more President Reagan. Guess what? It all jams them back together, and he becomes the Hulk. Everything kind of resets as the status quo, and Captain Universe is gone. So, it's okay. And we get into these couple of shorts that are in the backgrounds of these Web of Spider-Man comics. We get a little kid who's getting bullied in a school, and he becomes Captain Universe and takes down the bullies. And he actually takes down the bullies after he loses the powers. An interesting twist put on by Mantlo on that, which is kind of fun. This one is Spider-Man's professor. He's a physics professor, and he's excited to get Captain Universe power to deal with that, and he ends up fighting some strange robot things. Just they're fun. They're short vignettes. These are like 8-pagers, so really easy to go through. And now we get back, and these are written by Mantlo. And now it gets back into this one. This has Ditko again. He returns, but this is after he's kind of made his little transition into not really wanting to ink his own work and all that. And this is written by Tony Isabella, and you can tell I mean, he's got the cool designs of the monsters. It's very 60s Ditko-like, but you can tell the inking quality is somebody attempting to copy Ditko's style. The lines are a little bit cleaner in some ways, but they're a little less detailed also. And so, he was notorious for providing almost like just barely breakdowns in stuff like this. But Tony Isabella does a nice job on this story. And basically this little kid ends up with the power of Captain Universe. And very nice references to Ditko past. And obviously this was like an homage to Ditko to make Ditko draw it too. So you see these monsters. This kid's got Congo Gorga. That's a reference to Conga and Gorgo, who are monster comics Ditko drew in the 1960s. And even this right here makes the Captain Universe look a lot like Captain Atom from the Charlton stuff. So really neat. This was a fun story by Tony Isabella, and of course with the kid doing the thing there, pretty cool. And then finally on the vignette we get a man who's like a paralyzed guy, an old father, and his daughter's getting attacked, and he saves her life. That's what it comes down to. I don't know who drew this one. This is definitely not Ditko work. Who did this? I don't even think it's mentioned in here. Huh. Who would have done that one? Weird. All right. And then finally, there's no covers on these because most of these are just vignettes in the back of other things. So they don't actually feature Captain Universe, so it wouldn't fit the theme. And this is a later one. This came in the 90s, and this is the Cosmic Power Unlimited #5. And there's a story about a guy who's like maybe going to kill himself. And this really shows the difference between 80s storytelling and 90s storytelling. You got the dark, edgy guy who is like, the anti-hero almost becoming the hero. And, this is drawn by somebody else, Neil Errar. I don't know who that is. Not my favorite art from what I've seen. Had Malibu doing the colors. And this 90s colors is really rough. And it's kind of rough art, too. All the way around, it's rough. But very 90s look, trying to copy the Todd McFarlane style, and not very well. This guy ends up with the power, and these other people kind of want the power, so they kind of fight him, and he retains the power at the end of this, is what happens. And it acts like it's got a the end question mark, like again, they're maybe trying to launch a Captain Universe book, which never materializes. So it's a little bit of a mixed bag. The early Ditko stuff, those 3 issues, well worth it, just to get them for that. Of course, the Tony Isabella Ditko work was good too, even though you could tell Ditko really wasn't putting his heart into that story. The other vignettes in the middle were pretty good. I enjoyed the Hulk one, even though it was kind of a quick one, but all good stuff until that last 90s one, which kind of really didn't fit the feel of everything else. But this is a great book. Of course, this is pretty easy to find. You could probably find it half price. It's $19.99. There's a couple different printings of it, and this is a good background on the character of Captain Universe, a very underutilized and unknown character in Marvel. 8.5 out of 10. Really, really great stuff. Love 80s Marvel work. All right, hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know what you think about this, or if you're a Captain Universe fan, let me know, and we will be back soon.